Hi there, it's Suzanne Wagner again. Welcome to the Intuitive Patterns for the month of May 2018. Yes, I'm getting this one out early. Okay, so one of this month's lessons seems to be that you cannot sleep with vipers and not get bit. Sounds simple enough, but rarely do words really actually heal people. They often have to have their own experience to ground in hard truths, and unfortunately, there are consequences to some learning curves. Some a bit harder than others. It seems that regardless of the fact that we are coming into the time of spring, we are clearly going to get some lessons in shadow and in knowing from the hard hand of karma. Astrologically, it's going to be quite a ride. I will give you that a little bit later. Uranus is leaving the fiery intensity of Aries and going into the money, banking, and financial world of Taurus. Uranus is the planet of revolution, revelation, and change. It tends to blow things up to reveal what has been festering underneath. I like to think of it in this context as a boil that is going to burst, and the toxicity becomes revealed in a rather unpleasant way. Uranus only changes signs about every 7.5 years, so when it moves, it tends to do it in a dramatic way. After all, it is the planet of electricity, and while it moves into Taurus on May 16th, it will attempt to ground us. It will also tend to bring us down into the harsh reality of truth. Get ready, everyone. This is a rarely pleasant transition. This one astrological aspect influences the whole month because even as I write this article at the beginning of April, the shifts are being felt in the stock market, the farming industry, and the potential trade wars with China, not to mention the Middle East and everything happening with Russia. This is going to be a 7.5-year cycle where the money systems worldwide are going to be reworked, dismantled, altered, and regulated. But in May, we are going to get a test of the next few years because it is only going to be in Taurus for 6 months, and then it will go retrograde and back up into Aries from November 7th of 2018, only to go back into Taurus for the long haul of 7 years on March 7th, 2019. You would be wise to take May as the wake-up call moment and begin to see things in a more objective and honest way. Meanwhile, in the world of the cards, there are a number of cards indicating that metaphorically, there are robbers at the door waiting to take everything from you. Notice, where is your line in the sand? What will you give up willingly? Where will you go numb and ignore the facts? Are you aware of those people, situations, and circumstances in your life that are an infected boil of toxins ready to burst? The game is always about awareness and learning to pay attention when you need to. There is so much density happening in May that you will feel overly sensitive to all aspects impacting your world. Neptune in Pisces is at high tide, and as such, it is a storm of water emotionally that you have been feeling since December of last year and will continue to feel until September of this year. It is time to learn some self-control, mental discipline, emotional restraint, and recognize that these moments are designed to rile you up to get you moving. The cards indicate that there are those in power that have been using the tactic of inconsequential and non-substantive appeasement of certain groups rather than the more difficult route of standing up for truth and justice. Appeasement is always related to tricking the mind of those who hold certain prejudices. Appeasement is always an intellectual game where unpleasant or difficult truths are not faced and actively ignored. The cards indicate that there will be an abdication of personal responsibility in exchange for power. The cards show an army invading a walled city whose doors are wide open for the taking. It shows a leader who wants to be venerated and feared. It shows a deep sorrow of the people because of a majority of them know that this shift is one towards dark power rather than light, and that those who wish to bring shadow into the world seem at this moment to be winning. Now again, I don't think I've ever pulled this particular card ever in like 30 years of doing readings for the months and the intuitive patterns for the month. I was shocked to see this card there. And I literally had to take the literal translation of this card because it's such a triggery thing for me to try and interpret. So just kind of know that's the literal translation of this particular card, not my slant on this particular card. So with all of that, now I extend the possibility that this, hopefully, please God, is only a metaphor for a feeling that is overwhelming the world at this moment. As a psychic, I take the cards always as a metaphor for the emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual challenges facing us. I believe that cards are an emergency broadcast signal intending to show the trend and that can allow us some time to shift and change the present trajectory in a more positive way. This month, the healing comes from the power of the Rebel card, which is the humanistic side of the Emperor card. When people of dogma and rigid beliefs attempt to come in and take all the power, the real power then is in the people. The real power is in the rebels, who refuse to give up and refuse to sit by and pretend to not see the destruction of their world. In a democracy, it is the power of the people that refuse to be ignored that become the masters of their own change. When enough people stand together in the light of being willing to master their own destiny, that is when things change for the better. A rebel breaks the chains of society's repressive conditioning and opinions. It breaks the chains of the powerful, the wealthy, and those who wish to win at all cost. He steps out of the realm of words and into the passionate way of action. It is in repression that we find our real power, discover our true nature, and choose to live in accordance with our deepest soul and values. You are discovering the power of the rebel within you. He or she is more likely and ready to stand up for truth and is brave enough to face the fury of those who refuse to admit that we are not who we were, nor are we where we were 100 years ago. It is time for all of us to grow into a new form. Now, what that form is, it is up to all of us to add our little bits in there to help. This is always a very difficult thing, but it is one that is worth the effort in the long run. So I will give more details about the astrology in a coming up video. So thanks everybody. This was the intuitive patterns for the month of May 2018. Bye.